What's up, everybody? It's NBA2K26 coming at you again with another video from NBA2K26. For those of you guys who follow me and love to download my rosters and my tendencies and my sliders, what I'm going to be doing for NBA2K26 is, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of my community notes on how I'm going to be building out my roster this year. As you know, for the last 3 years, I have been putting out a lot more rosters than I have since 2K21, right? And this year, for 2K25, I put out almost 21 rosters, right? But sadly, I'm not going to be able to do that again this year because a lot of those rosters were able to be converted using PC metrics, which P-Toll was able to do to convert a lot of my scenarios into rosters. And since they took the PC method away, a lot of those rosters will not be able to be done. Now, not saying that we can't do it using scenarios. That's possible, but I don't think I will be doing that. Don't count it out. I'm not gonna say that I'm not. Don't count it out. I may do era scenario. So we'll just have to see about it. We'll have to see about that. But as of today's video is gonna be about my 2K26 modern era roster building guide. So what I'm going to be doing is shot under basket is going to be 35 plus. This is tendencies also for you guys who don't know. The shot under basket tendency is going to be 35 plus for all players. So nobody will have 0, nobody will have under 35 for shot under basket, because you would prefer to have shot under basket than shot close, because shot close is what's going to activate that jump stop pull up. But also, modern era basketball does not really use the shot close metric as much. So shot close metric is going to be 5 to 10 on the tendency slider for all players. Shot mid is going to be 35 plus for all players, so nobody will have an under 35 mid. For a mid-range jumper tendency. The shot 3 is going to have 50 plus for all players, because we all know that we're in a 3-point tendency era. So even for the bigs that really don't even shoot threes, I'm going to at least give them a 50 shot tendency for the 3, because a lot of bigs nowadays are converting to shooting the 3 nowadays. Dunking tendency is going to be 60 plus for all players that can dunk. Okay, if they cannot dunk, they will not have a dunk tendency. Layups is going to be a 75 plus tendency for all players, because I want to kind of get rid of that shot close, and I want the players to attempt layups and shooting under the basket more. Driving to the basket is going to be 85 plus. Dish to open man is going to be 25 plus. Hustle is going to be 5 in between 5 and 15 on the tendency. All players except Peyton Pritchard and TJ McConnell. Okay, post ups is going to be anywhere from 10 to 20 on the tendency slider, because you're not really going to see players post up that much. So the players that do post up, the maximum post up amount will be 20. And the 10 will probably be the maximum amount for guards like Kyrie, Brunson, and things like that, for those who do use the post up. Post hooks will be on 0. Nobody does post hooks. Spin jumpers would be 25 plus. I think I'm gonna max out spin jumpers at maybe 35, because it's like some weird animations with the spin jumpers. Hop step layups would be 10 to 20. You don't really see hop step layups that much. It's more like LeBron and Kobe era. You'll see a lot of hop step layups. I will also disable all post moves except post fade and post up and under. There is one like the post step back shot that I may just put on very low tendencies for certain players. Also, isolation will be turned off except for star players. So you're not going to have any lower rated players using the isolation method, because nobody is going to give somebody like let's see, I'm trying to think. For instance, okay, if you're on the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're not going to give I'm trying to think of somebody. Okay, if you're going to be on the 76ers, you're not going to give Ricky Council the ball and let him ISO. Like, he's not that type of player. You want star players to get the ISO, like Giannis, Jokic, SGA, things like that. You want those type of players to get ISO. So that's what we're going to be doing for that one. Alright, and to get into my 2K26 roster building guide, we're going to be talking about shoot versus touch tendencies. And this one is a big deal for your rosters, right? Your lower rated players is going to be, okay, the first number is your shot tendency and the second number is your touch tendency. So lower rated players are going to have a 35-40 tendency. That's shot versus touch. So the 40 is going to be touch, the 35 is going to be shot. 50 is going to be shot for mid-tier players, and 60 is going to be the touch. 70 is going to be the shot for star players. 80 is going to be the touch. 85 for elite players. 95 for the touch. Right? Facilitation guards is going to have a plus 5 to 10 shot touch ratio. So for instance, if it's 85-90, let's say I give somebody like James Harden, he's a facilitation guard. Let's say I gave him a 75-80. Because he's a facilitation guard, it will be like a 80. It will be like a 80-85 or like a 80-90. But that's just using an example. Not saying that I would do that for James Harden. Facilitation guard, basically you want to add 5 to 10 to their shot and touch. Also, dish to open man is going to be 55 plus for facilitation guards. So dish to open man is going to be at least 55 or more, right, on the dish to open man's tendency. Scoring players will have a lower dish to open man. They will probably have like a 35 and under, meaning they're not going to look to pass even to an open player. Scoring players not looking to pass to the open man will like get rid of a lot of that kicking out, and you want that to happen for realism. Honestly, isolation will only be equipped for elite players, like I've already explained, like players like Brunson, SGA, Ant-Man, Luka, things like that. Rebounding guards will have a 30 to 55 max tendency. I'm kind of doing it kind of like how my player does builds. So, and I'm not doing it exactly how they're doing it. I kind of adopted a metric of how my player builds are, right? So the rebounding guards will have like a 30 to 55 rebound tendency. 55 would be the max rebound I would give a guard. Rebounding forwards would be a 40 to 65. So the max rebounding I would give a forward is 65, right? Bigs will have a 65 to 80 max rebounding tendency, with elites to have 99. So of course, with forwards and bigs, we all know like Kawhi is a forward. I would not give him a max of 65. It's only for like the base players on the roster. Your star players, you will probably give them like an extra 10. or maybe 15, however you like to, but this is how I'm going to be doing it. Bigs passing will be 58 max. Now we all know Jokic is a big, so of course I would have his passing up more. So there are exceptions to some of these rules, but like a regular big, like let's say Mo Bamba, he would probably have like a 58 max. Okay, so if you're using somebody like Jokic, of course you're gonna have like a 90 passing for him. But most of the bigs, the other bigs that are not like elite, somebody like Wemby and Chet would probably have like a 70 passing, 75 max passing. Somebody like Gobert would probably have like a 60. Forwards passing would be 70 max. Guards passing would be 80 max, unless elite guards. So I probably should have said exceptions for all 4-star players, right? The bigs max 3-point shooting is going to be 78. The forwards max 3 is going to be 83. And the guards max 3 is going to be 89, unless they are elite. So there are going to be exceptions. The guards, like Steph Curry, he will probably have like a 96, 97. Brunson will probably have like a 92, 93. Kyrie probably have like a 90. Like players like Donovan Mitchell and other players like that will have exceptions. So of course I'm saying unless they are elite, meaning the other guards will fall into this ratio. Somebody like Jordan Poole will not go past this 89. Somebody like CJ McCollum will not go past this 89. Players like, let's see, like Ryan Nembhard, he wouldn't go past the 89. So it's like I'm kind of capping these players, honestly. So this would kind of help out with the roster building strategy, honestly. Now to get over to the next phase of the NBA 2K26 roster building guide section of my notes. The offensive consistency rating is where we're going to start at. Lower rated players are going to get a 55 maximum offensive consistency rating. Mid-tier players are going to get a 75 maximum offensive consistency rating. Star players are going to get an 88 maximum of offensive consistency rating. Elite players are going to get a maximum of 99 offensive consistency ratings. So it determines on what tier the player is in, what their offensive consistency rating is going to be. You're not going to want somebody like Taylor Horton Tucker to get 88 maximum offensive consistency rating. He would probably fall into the mid tier, 75, because the lower rated players will usually be like players that will be on two-way contracts, right? So I guess if you have somebody like on a two-way contract, they will fall anywhere from 55 to 65, right? If you have some like low tier that you're gonna stick in the G League, they will be at like a 55 maximum cap because they shouldn't be able to hit a lot of shots consecutive. The Nasus Antetokounmpo would be, he would probably fall anywhere in between lower rated and mid tier, so he would probably fall anywhere like in that 60 range of offensive consistency rating. So that's gonna eliminate a lot of crazy gameplay, right? With the badges, lower rated players are gonna have 0 badges, so that's gonna help have a parity between lower rated players and elite players. Lower rated players should not be scoring as efficient as starting players. Mid-tier specialists, mid-tier players are going to have specialist badges, so probably no more than 3 badges. And the badges that they have will be no higher than bronze, right? So if I have a specialist, a 3-point shooting specialist, I can't remember the guy that plays for the Bucks. I think his name is AJ Green. He would probably be like spot up specialist, maybe limitless range, and maybe I I can't remember the other 3-point shooting badge. I think it's like Deadeye, something like that. He would probably get those 3, but it wouldn't be no more than bronze. Star players no higher than silver, no more than 8 badges. Elite players due to play style. So that means if you're a guard, you're not going to get bigs badges. If you're big, you're not going to get guard badges unless you're Giannis Antetokounmpo. You will still get like the passing badges, the driving badges, and things like that. The maximum badges I'm going to have on the roster this year is 23. So I'm not going to have a player with 30 to 40 badges. That's just ridiculous. Okay, I want the gameplay to stay consistent and real, especially for people starting in my NBA. I want y'all to get the most consistent gameplay out of my rosters this year. Last year, y'all really loved my rosters, so I want to try to bring that method into 2K26. Now, I know that is going to play entirely different, and with RNG being gone, I really want to implement this offensive consistency ratings format into my rosters, honestly. Peak years. So if you're doing peak years, this one is going to be like, most peak years are going to start anywhere from 19 to 20. And then I got the end. So peak years is going to start with the first letter is going to be like peak start, when a player starts his peak, to peak end. For instance, LeBron peak started at 19, and you would probably say his peak ended at 37, 38. Although he's still playing at a high level, he's not peak LeBron. Somebody like Donovan Mitchell peak probably started at like 22. We would probably say it'd be like 31 or 32 ish peak end. I don't know. Kemba Walker would probably be like a 22 to maybe 28 due to injuries. Derrick Rose would be somebody who would be like a 20 to 25 peak. So lower tier players is going to be a 28 start, 29 end. So they're going to have a short peak run. Those are the very low rated players, because most lower rated players develop late in their career and they only have like that one buzz shot. Mid tier players will start their peak at 25 and end at 29. Star players will start at 22 and end at 32. Elite will start at 20 and end at 36. Right? So I'm giving them a wider range of peak start and peak end. And I'm going to adjust the My NBA settings for you guys who love to play My NBA. I'm going to adjust the settings so that regression and progression will have a bigger impact on this year's game, honestly. Alright, now to continue my roster building guide notes, I'm going to be adjusting all teams' playbooks on the Modern Era roster. So we all know my Modern Era roster and my WNBA roster are going to be like my primary focus rosters. Where I go most in depth is with my Modern Era NBA roster and my WNBA roster. That's where I go way into depth. With the eras, not so much. I don't go as in depth. I mostly just focus on ratings and tendencies and adding in missing faces, aligning the ages with the eras. So these notes pretty much primarily attain to WNBA and Modern Era NBA, which for the WNBA is going to be different tendencies and ratings, but I'm going to try to keep some of these RBG's roster building guide notes for the WNBA. So I'm going to be adjusting all the playbooks to make the game style play with the. So for those of you who know, when you go to vitals and edit a player, right? When you click the edit a player and you go to vitals. You scroll all the way down to play types. Your play types is going to play into, well, play styles. Your play style is going to play into your tendencies, right? Your tendencies is going to play into the playbook, which is plays called for those players. But I've noticed that running plays kind of static the gameplay a lot, so I'm going to turn play calling down, and I want it to play off of play styles and tendencies mostly, right? So we're going to adjust all the playbooks. We're going to adjust the coaching tendencies, because that means a lot. Coaching tendency means a lot. I proved that in 2K25. Coaching tendencies mean a lot. Every tendencies react off of another tendency. So not only do you have to do rosters, you have to do sliders, you have to do tendencies, you have to do your my NBA. It's a lot that you have to do to make the gameplay smooth. You can't just edit a roster and think, oh, well, that's going to change the whole game. You can't just edit the sliders and think, oh, well, it's going to fix the gameplay. No, you have to edit the sliders. You have to edit the rosters. You have to edit your, if you're in my NBA, you have to edit your my NBA association settings. You have to go in and edit your simulation settings, right? And for those of you who watch my NBA association video, y'all know what I'm talking about. When you go into my NBA and you load up your association settings, if you have not watched that video, I advise you to go watch it. Go watch my NBA video. And I think it's 2 parts to the my NBA video, but then there's an association video, right? You need to go watch those 3 videos where I break it down more. But anyways, I'm going to adjust the coaches' ratings, because a lot of the coaches do not have correct ratings. Some coaches are defensive coaches. Some coaches are offensive coaches. Some coaches are all-around coaches. Some coaches are just bad and terrible, right? I noticed for coaches that were just terrible, they was given like 3 or 4 stars. I adjusted those ratings, and in my NBA, it actually helped with a lot of the gameplay, honestly. I'm going to adjust the speed for bigs. So this is for ball speed. It's going to be anywhere from 25 to 60 maximum speed. So somebody like Joseph Nurkic, he would probably have a maximum 60 ball speed. Somebody like a B will probably have like a maximum 60 ball speed. Interception would be Wemby, Chet Holmgren, Bam Adebayo. I'm going to adjust the speed for bigs. It's going to be 25 to 70 maximum. So most bigs will not have over 70. Unless you're Anthony Davis, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Wemby, Chet, players like that. I'm gonna adjust the bigs ball handling. They're not gonna have a plus 69. You should be able to rip bigs, except for the exceptions. I'm gonna unequip all play types except for star players. So we're not gonna worry about play types for other players, only star players. So if you're star and elite players, you will get play types. Free throw is gonna be a maximum 75 for bigs and 80 for the exceptions. Max bigs layups is gonna be 70. 80 for exceptions. Max big stamina is gonna be 78. 89 for guards. So that's going to help with a lot of the gameplay, honestly. Trust me, believe me, it's going to make a difference, especially with transition and fast break. Okay, and for the next and last tab on the roster building guide, I'm going to talk about accessories, right? So I already told y'all I'm going to go through and make sure every player has the correct shoes. Now, this only obtains to modern NBA era roster. So that means current as of today rosters. I'm not talking about Steph Curry era, LeBron era. So don't go through those eras rosters and be like, oh, well, you don't have the correct shoes for such and such and such. That's because I'm not gonna go. Do y'all not understand how long it takes to do a roster? Especially the way that I like to do it. It takes forever, right? So I only go deep into depth with the modern era rosters, meaning 2025 upcoming NBA season roster. That's where I'm gonna spend most of my depth at, right? Let's see. And the WNBA. The WNBA will have all correct shoes. All players will have the correct shoes, right? So don't go through my eras roster and be like, oh, well, these are not the right shoes and such and such and such, because only certain players will have their right shoes, and that's if they are the owner of those shoes. Like LeBron, if he wore LeBron 14s in the LeBron era, I would have him on the LeBron 14s. If Melo had his shoes on in the Melo, I mean not Melo era, in the LeBron era, he will have those shoes on, right? So only if they have shoes in the game will I equip the right shoes. The rest of them, I don't care what shoes they have on. I'm gonna adjust the accessory colors for the modern roster only, because it takes forever to do this. The white will be for home, so home color sleeves will have white. The away color sleeves will have uniforms 1, meaning you can change the colors when you click on your team to play the game, and you go into accessories and you start clicking the different colors. That means the arm sleeve will change colors, because uniforms 1 means whatever color their uniforms is, that's the color their accessory is going to be, right? I'm going to add all correct shoes. I already talked about that. And I'm going to adjust the shorts length. So for modern era, I'm going to have shorter shorts for a lot of players. For the WNBA, a lot of them will have folded or shorter shorts, right? For that. So just try to keep it for realism, honestly. Okay. Now, this is my 2K26 to-do list. For all of you who've been asking me, trust me, I've already had people asking me, and I don't mind you guys communicate with me, okay? Don't think I don't mind you guys communicate with me. I love communicating with you guys, honestly. But just before y'all ask me, I'm gonna already tell you what I'm going to do, right? And for those of you who are on X or Twitter, whatever you call it, follow me at Mr. Santucci or HoodiePap22. Okay? So that's where a lot of people see a lot of things that I post or message me, DM me, or whatever it is. Follow me on X, follow me on Twitter, HoodiePap22 or Mr. Santucci. Now, my 2K26 to-do list, yes, it's a lot shorter than it has been for the last 3 years. Guys, y'all don't understand how much, matter of fact, y'all don't understand how much I put into these rosters. It takes me 2 weeks to literally do the ratings, to do the tendencies, just for a base roster. It takes me almost a month to do correct shoes, correct gear, correct ratings, correct tendencies, correct vitals, correct play styles, correct playbooks. Like, it takes me forever to do all that. Last year, I put out 21 rosters. I don't think y'all understand. I was still doing rosters like here in June, July. I was constantly updating the WNBA up until last week. I constantly updated the NBA up until I think it was like the second week of August. So this year I'm not going to do all the extra rosters like I did last year. Only thing I'm going to be doing for the modern era, I'm going to put out a preseason roster. So for those of you who want to start a My NBA, you will use the preseason roster. I'm going to build out the complete preseason roster. And I'm going to make it so you can put it into a My NBA. I'm going to take that preseason roster and I'm going to convert it to a opening night roster, meaning anybody was traded, signed, or waived, I will have those transactions updated. Any numbers, any gear, any accessories, I will update it on opening night. So opening night rosters, or if they add in new face scans, I will add those in. So basically, I'm going to take the preseason roster, which is going to have all the edits, all the ratings, everything, tendencies. I'm just going to convert it to an opening night roster. Then I'm going to take that opening night roster and I'm going to convert it to a Christmas Day roster. Meaning, I'm not going to do continual updates to the roster like I did last year. Every time it was a trade, every time it was a cut or signing, I was updating the roster. So I'm not going to do that because last year I found out a lot of people were still going back to download my Christmas Day roster because they wanted to play with Luka still on the Mavericks, right? And if I would have kept updating it, they wouldn't have had to play. They wouldn't have got to play with Luka still on the Mavericks, right? So that does make a big difference. So opening night roster is October 31st, right? I'm going to leave that roster alone until Christmas Day. I'm going to separate the roster and I'm going to make changes to it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload an opening night roster, and when there's a trade, a wave, a signing, I will update the Christmas Day roster, and every time there's a trade, cut, wave, or signing, I'm going to just do it on the Christmas Day roster, right? And then I will release the full roster after all the changes have been made so that you guys can play with it and update it and things like that. Then I'm going to do a trade deadline roster. So basically I'm going to open up another tab and I'm going to start updating the roster after Christmas Day, and I'm going to do a trade deadline roster. So whatever the roster is for a trade deadline, that's what I'm going to open up. And then I'm going to do an end of season roster when the season ends, like I did last year. Last year I had 4 rosters. I had preseason, I had Christmas Day, I had trade deadline, and then I had end of season roster. No. I had preseason, Christmas Day. No. Okay, it was preseason, trade deadline, end of season, and playoff and off-season roster. That's what it was. So I had 5 last year. Okay, for the end of season roster, I'm going to leave that. So I'm going to drop that when the season ends. And then when the playoffs start, I'm going to upload a playoff roster. And then, as you know, in June or July, I'm going to do an off-season roster still again, right? Okay. Now, that's all I'm going to do for the modern era. I'm going to do a Steph era roster. I'm not going to do the bubble roster like I did last year. I'm not going to do any other years for Steph era, meaning from 2012 up to 2024. I'm not going to do any other roster. I'm going to do the Steph era roster only, which is the base roster. I'm going to do LeBron era roster only. I'm going to do Kobe era roster only. So last year I gave y'all a 2005 roster. I'm not going to do that this year. I'm just going to do the 02, 03. I think that's the base one. I think that's what Kobe era is, 02, 03. LeBron is 2010, 2011, and Steph is 16, 17, I think. I'm going to do Jordan era roster. Last year I did a 96 with Pete Toe. I'm not going to be doing that this year. Magic versus Bird era. I'm going to give you a Magic versus Bird era roster again, but this time I'm not going to have the 80. I think I did 86 last year, and I did a 60. I think it was 67 roster. I can't remember. No, I think it was 63. I'm not gonna do that this year. I'm not gonna do anything other than the original era roster that comes on 2K. Now for the WNBA, I gave y'all like 9 rosters last year for the WNBA. This year, I'm going to do the 25 playoff roster. So that means that might be the first roster that I start working on, because I want to get it out, because the WNBA playoffs are coming up right now. So I'm going to go in and do the 25 playoff roster, because when you start up a My NBA, it's going to start you in the, I think it's going to start you in the 25 season. So I'm going to put up the playoff roster for 25, and you'll just be able to simulate it. Actually, I think I might do a scenario. I'm going to start a scenario. So when you get to the WNBA draft, we will have all that for this year. I'm going to do a 2026 preseason roster like I did last year. I did a preseason roster. You guys love that. I'm going to do a WNBA 2026 opening night roster as well. And I'm going to do a 2026 trade deadline roster. Right? So that's all I'm going to be doing this year for NBA 2K26. Alright. Last subject on this video before we close this out. I want to talk about this coaches thing, right? So a lot of y'all might not see this as a big deal, especially if you're not a roster creator, or if you don't like attention to detail in rosters. What you're seeing on the screen right now is from 2K24. This is the last time we saw the coaches panel like this. It shows the head coach, the assistant head coach, and all the other position coaches. Now, the reason why I want the panel to be back like this is because we can arrange and adjust the coaches in the way that they're supposed to be. Also, the way you arrange these coaches shows them the way they shoot on the way they sit on the bench. If a head coach get fired, for instance, if Nick Nurse get fired and they hire this assistant head coach, which I think is Lloyd Pierce. If I fire Nick Nurse right here on 2K24, I can easily fire Lloyd Pierce from assistant head coach, and I can put Rico right here, Shot Doctor. I could put him at assistant head coach to fill that spot, and I can move Lloyd Pierce over to head coach. And 2K26, it just shows the owner, the GM, the trainer, the doctor. I think it's the trainer and the scout. Yeah, the trainer and and the scout and the head coach. If you fire the head coach, you can replace him with coaches in the coach pool. But for instance, when Michael Malone was fired from the Nuggets, they hired David Alderman, who was the assistant head coach. If you do that in 2K26, you fire Malone and hire Alderman, you cannot replace the assistant head coach, because there's no setting, no way that you can equip Alderman to be a head coach, because there's no way you can equip an assistant coach to replace Alderman. So when you try to click out of your roster, it's gonna say all coaches are not, the positions are not filled, and there's no way for you to fill the position. So your roster is gonna crash, and what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to close out the app, and you're gonna have to load the game back up, go back into it, and then it's gonna reset, and you're gonna have Malone back at head coach and Alderman back at assistant head coach. And then there are no generic coaches. They stopped putting generic coaches in the game. I think it was 24 when they stopped putting generic coaches in the game. So you could go to G League, fire that coach, edit that coach, and then bring him over to the head coach. You can't do that now because they took the generic coaches out the game too, which was crazy. So now if somebody get fired, especially with 2K26, they took the PC method away. So now if somebody get fired, there's absolutely no way that you can remove that head coach and put an assistant head coach in and replace that. That is so crazy for rosters, because now it's going to be so hard to get the rosters as real. Like for instance, Doug Christie replaced Mike Brown. How are you going to be able to do that now? Not saying that they're going to be on there now, but that's just an example. How are you going to be able to do that in 2K26 now, especially with the PC method gone for those of us that are on console? And so when you're playing the rosters, you're still going to be seeing a coach that's fired and not the coach that was hired, right? That bothers me a lot. And 2K changed a lot. They changed a lot, but it doesn't favor those of us who like to create and edit rosters, right? But that's all I got to say in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I apologize for it being so long. I didn't intend for the video to be so long, but I thank you guys for sticking it out, for listening to me, and hopefully we can get a lot of stuff changed in an upcoming patch, and maybe they'll fix it all. But anyways, until I see you again, peace.